Record. Okay, quiet in the studio. Quiet in the studio, I said. All right, good evening, everybody. This is Ab Fab, a.k.a. Jonathan Starkey, your delicious, delightful, delovely pub landlord of that digital pub called Cheshire Matters. And I am joined this evening by our regular panelists. Say hello, the Gazelle, a.k.a. Trevor Nicholls. Say hello.
You all right?
Say it again. We like that. Go ahead.
You all right?
That'll do. All right. And we have the wonderful, the absolutely stupendous fax man, who is Statsman, a.k.a. Mark Hartley. Say hello, sir.
Now then.
Now then.
No, just for the one now then.
Yeah, I watched that the other night.
Yeah. Okay. And we have that man who's got the DNA of a chicken. The Raven. A.k.a. Steve Ingram. Say hello, Steve.
Yes, good evening, listeners.
Oh, there you go. Good evening, listeners. And he means all three of them. All right, there we go. All right, well, okay, let's get straight into it. Let's go to the roundup. Okay. Nadine Dorris asked to go on Liz Truss's honours list after being bumped off Boris's. Can you believe that?
She asked for this.
She asked to go on Liz Truss's.
That's not something you do, is it, really?
No. Serious one here. A World War II veteran with cancer is in a hostel after landlords evicted him. Did anybody read that story?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, considering what's going on and the amount of money that's being spent on illegal migrants, and we can't even look after our own. He's one of the guys that should be prioritized. Okay. Well, moving on. And connected to it, the Home Office is booking large numbers of empty beds in hotels in preparation, just in case we get another influx of migrants. So they've got the places there. So they're getting paid for empty rooms. Go ahead, Stats. Go ahead.
What? There's empty rooms?
Yep. Empty
rooms. I thought
rooms.
they were all full.
Awful. No, they're not awful.
They were awful, but they're all full.
Okay, Gazelle, go ahead.
Just in case.
Correct. Just in case.
Is that a little bit like the Nightingale hotels? The Nightingale hospitals.
Yeah.
They had a Nightingale hospital that they spent millions and millions and millions and millions on. Never used it. There was only a security guard in there.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll get used, Trev. They'll get used. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Steve. I was going to say on this, why are they doing this just in case if their boats policy is so effective?
That's because
it's not effective.
It's not effective. I was just about to say.
Why are we spending all this money on empty rooms for people who may or may not come here illegally? Probably will do anyway because they're pouring in. It's an invasion. Let's call it out for what it is. Whilst people go without here.
Okay, Stats, quick one on that one, and
we
go on to
the people who make these decisions in the empty rooms. They could still cause a problem, couldn't they, I suppose?
Yeah, they could. Right. Children are told racism started when white people wanted more control. That's what they're being taught in school. I think that's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I mean, we're going to be moving on quite a few stories about education in schools, thanks to Stats, of course.
Why are we demonizing our history to young people?
Well, why are we demonizing white people?
Of their heritage.
Yeah, why are we demonizing white people for a start?
Exactly.
Simple as that. Okay, here's a funny one for everybody. This is from the Mail Online, and they've revealed how much air is in popular crisp packets.
Who's done this?
Mail Online. So they're saying there's more air than crisps in a lot of ways.
Well, I've been losing sleep over this. I'm glad this survey has been carried out.
Get the priorities in there. Eh?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
Mm-hmm. And another thing as well, I mean, why is it called the Mail Online? I thought that had been changed by now.
Oh, yes, indeed.
The person online or the Rainbow Online or something like that. Have they got away with that?
Good observation. Good observation from that man. Right, what about the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace?
That person.
Hold on. The Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, is stand down at the next election.
Good.
Oh, you don't like him?
I don't like any of them.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that there, Stats. I was surprised you said that straight away. I was going to say, well, he seems like the only person that I can look at and say, so.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, he's on. Anybody really heard about what's happening with Thames Water? Anybody know about what's going on there?
It's a mess.
Drought.
Go ahead, Stats.
I think one of the bosses was in some kind of committee the other day, and she said we're nowhere near going bankrupt. We've got something like $4 billion there in equity we can get. So they're probably going to loan it, but
Okay.
I think it's a lot of scare stories again by the press and the government.
Yeah, they've already approached Warrington Borough Council.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about the significant milestone for UK trade? Britain signs to deal to join the 12 trillion Indo-Pacific trading bloc.
All thanks to Brexit. I can't hear them.
Everybody all excited there?
From the rooftops, though.
No,
Everybody excited.
I think the figures have been brought into a little bit of question, to be honest with you. I don't want to sort of bring it down a peg or two, but I think whatever is taking place going forward, I think Trevor's just said a very good point. We're not really hearing the benefits of leave and being shouted about, and let's face it, this wasn't going to be an overnight windfall success. It was going to be a process over 10 or 15, 20 years, getting our country back and rebuilding it after 50 years of lies and betrayal and treachery.
Well, 12 trillion is the whole market, and they're talking about probably GDP of countries there that are all part of it. But quite simply, it brings us a step closer to getting into a market of about 500 million people.
So a lot bigger than
the
the
figure
EU.
is quite overinflated, to say the least, but
Yeah. Stats.
much smaller benefits.
Stats, go ahead.
But they are
Shut
there.
that raven up. Go on.
Does it involve signing up to free movement of people?
No.
No, well, we're already doing it, so we may as well.
So that's it. No, we are doing free movement of people. It's just not the right kind of people that we want, but there you go. So that's a score on that one. And the last one, and we may as well end on some sarcastic one. Met police officers are banned from using sex workers.
What?
That's Met police officers are banned from using sex workers.
That's atrocious.
And they must declare all romantic relationships under new guidelines.
What?
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the
Really?
truth. Officers in Britain's biggest police force have been banned from using sex workers under new vetting guidelines. It is the first time the use of sex workers has been specifically banned by Scotland Yard, having previously dealt with incidents under general misconduct regulations, and that was reported in The Sun.
Someone's got a problem then. Haven't they? I heard the bit about the sex workers, John, but not the you've got to tell them if you're in a relationship or what. No, that's ridiculous, mate. Come on.
That's a bit Stasi state, that I have
And
to
they
say.
have
we
to.
do live in one,
Officers,
Steve, so.
Yeah,
officers, listen.
Crescent
All
again.
right, that's it. I'm going to mute everybody. Shut up. Shut the hell up.
Oh, he's off on one
Shut
again.
up.
Lads, get together,
That's
get
it.
together.
Muted. Officers must also declare all romantic relationships and have been reminded that they must tell the force of any windfall they receive over £5,000 under tighter guidelines issued in April as part of a drive to restore public trust in the beleaguered force. So they've
Well,
also
first
been...
of all, I think we should be open and transparent on this show. First of all, starting with you, landlord, are you in a romantic relationship?
No. Tell my wife.
Stats. Oh, hang on. He's got that quirky hobby about statistics. So
Hang on, I can answer that
Trevor,
question.
what
No
about
problem.
you?
Various.
Hang on, are you the
I'm
police,
in love with
Steve?
myself.
Are you the police,
Yes,
Steve?
self-appointed Stasi
No,
police.
unless you show me your warrant card, I don't have to tell you any of mine.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
just write
right.
one out now.
So there you have it. Okay. Are you in a romantic relationship?
Wow.
Oh, yes, very, very.
You
with
liar.
lovely Miss-
I heard from Elaine. She told me. I'm just
Hang on,
muting him
this
every time he goes to say it. I'm going to mute him.
It's a massive overreaction, isn't it?
Again, this is like spitting on a fire to put it out. It's the recruitment process that needs to be looked at because they're recruiting the wrong type of people, making it really easy for any old Tom, Dick, and Harry to join.
Well,
this isn't going to fix anything, is it?
It's been revisited more than 1,000 historic reports previously made against officers for alleged sexual offences. 2 senior Metropolitan Police officers have previously been permitted to keep their jobs, having found to have used sex workers, including one earning more than $100,000 a year. There you go.
A sex worker earning more than £100,000 a year.
No.
Yeah,
This is
we're
a
in the wrong
Met
job,
officer
Steve.
earning that money and then using ladies of the night.
Oh.
There you go.
Thinking my bottom was going on sale in Manchester then on that type of money.
Oh, what? Don't want to know about that. Okay, we're moving on. So that's the end of the roundup.
Wow.
Wow. It's a big wow on that one. And we're going to move on. And the national news story is going
Not
to
what I've
be...
heard.
No, it's not Trevor's bottom in Manchester. It is, are the Tories going to lose all 3 of the by-elections next week? Quick answers.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm not sure. I think it might be a mixed bag, but it's
Yeah,
a
I'm in
possibility.
agreement with Mark. I think it's going to be a bit of a mixture. I don't think they're going to do quite as bad as predicted. I think what's interesting at the moment is Starmer's stance on the benefits of people with more than 2 children. He seems to be backtracking on that. Now, that's a big, big issue for Labour supporters.
Yeah. I go with that. Let's give you a quick resume of what's going on. Tory seats facing by-elections July 23. Selby and Ainsty, which has got a Conservative majority of 20,137. Somerset and Frome, Conservative majority 19,213.
Excuse me, landlord. I think, if I'm correct, it may be pronounced Froome.
Frome, sorry, and it's not Somerset, it's Somerton and Frome. And
Froome.
yeah,
Froome, I think it's
Frome,
pronounced
Frome, Foam, Floam.
Right, come on.
Let's ring the pronunciation guy at the BBC.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Yeah, that's
Frome, I
right.
think
You
it's
just argue with
Frome
anything.
Staff.
The
How's it
Conservative...
spelled?
Oh, shut up. The Conservative majority there
F-R-O-M-E,
is 19,000... That's it. You're going to get muted if you open your mouth again. And I don't mean on
There's
screen.
nothing new there. He just likes to play with them
Right.
buttons. He needs to sort of get out.
Mute. Okay, Somerton and Frome, Conservative majority 19,213, and Uxbridge and South Ruislip, Conservative majority 7,210.
That one might be a risk. The one with 19, I think, should be all right. That's quite a lead.
Well, what do we know about the constituencies? Go ahead. I see your finger wagging. Go ahead, Gazelle.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was my tail. Yes, you've got the 2 of it, the other 2. The only one they're going to possibly win is Uxbridge. Purely, that's Boris's old gaff, by the way. Purely because of the ULEZ. That's the only way they're going to win it.
I think so.
And that's all it'll be. It'll be a protest vote, which will be a protest vote. How odd is that? They're going to vote Conservatives as a protest.
Yeah.
And you'll get they'll probably win that one, the one with the lowest majority. Now, the other 2, I think they're going to get absolutely annihilated in.
What's
There's
the
my
majority
result.
in Uxbridge, Trevor?
Majority in Uxbridge is 7,000. It's the lowest.
7.5, yeah.
Yeah, it's the lowest of the lot. But in Uxbridge, I think they'll actually save it purely. It's nothing to do with the Conservatives. It's purely to do with ULEZ because of where it's situated in London. But the other two, but about the 12,000 and 19,000, I think they are, something like that, they will get annihilated.
You reckon?
I'll put 2-1, and we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Well,
I'm going for the fact that I think they'll lose 1 seat.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's get a little bit of background. I mean, how do those constituencies compare? So the average house price in Selby and Ainsty is about 250,000. And it can go up to 490. So the average there would be around about 280. Okay? Let's talk about employment in those areas. All right, so the rate of people claiming unemployment benefit in Ainsty, Selby and Ainsty is 1.9%. And Somerton and Frome, 2.1%. And Uxbridge and South Ruislip, 3.3%. Okay. Now,
South, these seats, I think, might lose one.
Percentage of population.
Sorry, Jonathan, any geography on that there? We've got the Uxbridge, which is obviously down south.
That's right.
And then you've got, which one's the Yorkshire one?
Selby and Ainsty.
Selby. And where's the other one again?
It's just below Bath or
That's
Bath
right.
if you're
That's
posh.
Right.
Oh, Bath, yeah. Because I had a bath the other night. No, it wasn't that. No, the other month it was. Yeah, so you've got the one near Bath.
Mm-hmm.
So that's mediocre, isn't it? And you've got the one in North and you've got the one down South, haven't you?
I think they'll lose the North one, Selby and Ainsty.
Be Southwest, won't it?
Yeah. Let's go with just a few more details. The percentage of population aged 65 and over. In Selby and Ainsty, it's 20.8%. In Somerton and Frome, it's 26%. And in Uxbridge and South Ruislip, it's 13.1%.
What figures are these? I missed this.
Those are the percentage of population age 65 and over.
Yeah, I think these are pretty safe seats, really, mate.
What, for the Conservatives? I'm not so sure. I think there's a good possibility they could lose all of them.
You've not. This government, people want them out.
Yep. They've had enough. Go ahead, Stats.
I mean, let's look at this properly. I mean, none of them should be winning anything. Like, literally, the Conservatives should be wiped out for what they've done to this country over the last few years, the lockdowns and the immigration, etc., and the economy. I think we need to be like, well, why is anyone going to vote for either of these two parties? Because they're both responsible, aren't they, for the destruction of this country and actually putting children at risk constantly on a yearly basis.
I take my hat off to you. You've summed up the state of this country and the failure of the authorities to protect the vulnerable in our society in two sentences. That is it. That's
they prioritise.
I can round it off because they're both identical, aren't they? There's nothing that separates these parties anymore. Big government, high taxes, open borders, obsessed with net zero. Don't put the homogenous people first. Waste our money. Don't protect children. They both push this woke insanity. Indeed. There's no difference.
And that's why you've got to vote Reform UK.
Anyone but these clowns. Sorry, but if you vote for them, then by default, you're probably responsible for the destruction of this country. So it needs to stop.
What do you think it's going to mean to Starmer and to Sunak if he loses any one of those seats? What do you think is the Conservatives' reaction, especially the backbenchers, is going to be?
They'll double down and say, it's fine, everything's working, it's going to plan. Just like we reported on last week, but the boats are working. No, they're literally not.
So they plan to lose seats?
They know they're going to probably lose at least one, possibly two. But they'll front it out and say, no, it's fine. He's hitting his 5 things that he isn't really hitting. Honestly, they just
he's not succeeding in anything. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, bearing in mind on the run-up to an election, what you usually see is some magic policy pulled out of the hat last minute as a sugar pill for the public, and quite a lot of the public will fall for it.
Well, what they're doing right now is they're toying with...
I know the state of the government and everybody's unhappy with it. But the fact of the matter is, that's what both of these parties will do on the run-up to a general election.
They are now promising to, basically, or they're hinting at it, to get rid of inheritance tax. Now, that's a biggie.
Altogether?
Yep, altogether.
Wow.
What they're saying do is two different things, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know, I'd like to see someone... Which one's Lawrence Fox standing in? Is it Boris's old ward, is it?
Reclaim, and he's standing in Boris's old ward.
I'd like to see someone like that, but in reality, I don't think we're ready for this just yet. But we've got to lay the groundwork, and people have got to put themselves forward and give someone an alternative. That's what they're doing. Don't let them have a free run at it.
Yeah.
They're just going to walk it all the time.
I hope that he does get it. I mean, I would support Reclaim, and they're working with Andrew Bridgen, and that guy's done some really good things. Yeah. So I hope that they do make a big dent, and get rid of that majority and make it easier. I know.
Reclaim. It sounds like a builder's merchant. What? They're knocking old bricks and reclaiming them.
No,
it sounds like a builder's merchant.
Well, it's better than reform.
I wouldn't trust them.
It's better than reform.
Yeah.
Reform UK. They wanted reform, but it's already gone.
Yeah.
What was the next? Let's go through the thesaurus. I tell you what, reclaim.
Yeah. No, I'm just ragging them because we know which side that Trevor hangs on. We know the score.
Yeah,
I don't care.
We might know literally as well. You never know.
I don't care what the party's called or if they're independent. I just get rid of these big two.
Oh, they're just clowns.
They're a liability, and I've been for decades.
They're clowns. They are treating this public, so
the only
badly.
way you're going to move forward in this country, and I'm sorry to say it, well, I'm not sorry to say it. Why should I say that? Is to change the voting system. Whoever gets in, whatever. Change the voting system.
Definitely. Yeah. I totally agree.
They don't want to, though, Trev, because of the way it is. It keeps with the two-party system. It's actually a one-party system. They take it in turns.
It's a uni-party system.
The only way to move forward in this country is to change the voting system, period.
I followed what Stats advised to me when I was going on Twitter. And, on behalf of Cheshire Matters, taking my turn. And I'm now calling all the lefty wokies conservatives.
Well, they are.
Well, they are. There's no, as we were saying before, there is no difference. It's a complete nonsense.
I call them phony conservatives, and I call the conservatives phony conservatives as well, because they are phony conservatives. I don't know. I can't get over how many terrible things are going on, and they're just violent driving on. They're just going on. They're not even looking back and saying, well, we might have made a mistake there. No. They're just going ahead, pile driving on, and they're just doing it. And they're destroying this country, and they know it. Go ahead, Stats.
There's no accountability, and the sheeple will just vote them back in again, regardless of what they do.
Yeah, and we know
it's depressing, really.
Well, we know about accountability because we're going to have a separate podcast on our letters to Cheshire West. And that's going to be interesting because we're going to go into detail. And we're going to mention names like the leader, Councillor Louise Gittins, and also responses from people like Vanessa Whiting. And we're going to go into more detail and we're going to speak about that. There we go. Anyway, right. So has anybody else got anything else to say about what's going on with those three elections?
Not really, other than the fact I think the public at the moment are pretty sort of switched off to the political world, in my view. I'm not really hearing people on the street talk a great deal about things going on. I think people have become numb to the state of this country, to be honest.
They can't be numb to it because they're getting ripped off, they're getting suppressed, repressed, depressed, and oppressed.
What I mean is they're numb to the so-called political arguments and debate because they can't see a way out from any of these parties.
Or they cannot be bothered to look at it and to see what's going on. Stats, go ahead.
That's the problem, Steve. This is the time we need them to stand up the most and be involved.
Yeah,
that's it.
Themselves forward and change the system and the culture.
Okay.
Doing the opposite.
Yeah, I've had several conversations over the last few weeks with customers, and they haven't heard. But one, they haven't heard of the upcoming parties, the new parties, I should say. And every single comment to me was, "Well, I don't really bother with politics."
Yep.
And I tell you that's not one off. I mean, that was probably very, very consistent throughout all the conversations. I don't really bother.
It gets on my nerves because they're the people that are actually allowing our country to go down the tubes. That's the truth.
Yeah, I think there is actually a case for compulsory
voting.
Compulsory voting, and if you don't vote for Reform UK, you should be tasered.
I don't think it works like that.
Democracy by violence.
Well, it should do. Yeah.
Democracy by violence. Okay. Well, all right. We haven't got anything else to say about that. Let's move on to the local. And that is, I'm sure Stats has got a few things to say about this, but the Hydrogen Village trial in Whitby has been rejected. the Minister for Energy, Efficiency and Green Finance has announced that Whitby, which is in Ellesmere Port, will no longer be considered for the UK's first hydrogen village trial, citing a lack of local support. I wonder what that was all about. Stats, have you got any comments to make on that?
Yeah, there was quite a few various reasons people didn't want this. Safety was a big one. A lot of the work that needed doing, and the upheaval was another. But surprisingly, one was that it wasn't green enough.
You're joking. So
this might seem like a win, but really not. I watched an online meeting some of the residents had with someone. I think it was the back end of last year. Now, to me, this sounded like it was, I'll just say a little persuasive. It sounded a bit like a sales pitch from people who deal in water pumps.
Okay.
I think we touched on this months ago, and it was in the press that they cost 3 times as much, etc. So it wasn't a good swap for gas.
Okay.
But I think the argument they put across might have persuaded some people that hydrogen wasn't the way to go and these heat pumps were. Again, though, it's all this decarbonisation, and they want to electrify heating now as well.
Okay.
So let's think, we've got cars, we've got heating, so we're going to electrify everything. Well, I think we know where the problem comes there. Where's the electricity coming from?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. See, I think the problem here is they're not thinking straight.
No.
If we just started using our natural resources and increase storage, like massively, while we're building a new nuclear infrastructure, come 10 or 15 years, there's no need for fossil fuels anymore. And that's over a decade before their net zero pipe dream, without all this suffering and pain. But it's quite simple, really.
But aren't fossil fuels sort of, I think that they're actually being utilised in 84% of the generation of energy within this country.
And it's increasing, John.
And around the world.
I keep saying it's the thing that brought people out of poverty the most. If you get rid of it, we've got problems. But if they want to get rid of it, I've just given them a solution there, and it'll be done within 10 or 15 years. And if the Conservatives would have done this 5-10 years ago, we'd almost be there now. But no, let's electrify everything when we've got no electricity. Brilliant.
Well, this is not going to do much for net zero, is it? Go ahead, Steve.
No.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed on the hydrogen sort of issue, really, to be honest. I think it's a little bit of a way to go in terms of a possible solution. I think hydrogen, I think electric cars, by the way, I've said this before, is a 10-year fad. And I think hydrogen for cars will be the way forward. I think that's where we're going to be going. This idea that, 30 million cars on the road currently, or whatever it is, can all be replaced with electric cars with... it's just not going to happen. Let's face it, it's not happening.
Cloud cuckoo land, Steve, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to. There was a hydrogen car in the 1930s that somebody was working on, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And he suddenly disappeared.
They all do, don't they?
Like it was in Russia. Yeah. Now, I've been working for the last 10 minutes to find a pun around how hydrogen's got up in smoke, but I can't work on one. and
it's
there's no
drowned.
way on this
hydrogen
planet
is drowned in H2O.
The government turned around. They have listened to the public.
Well, there's another reason, isn't there?
There was about 2,000 homes in the village of Whitby as part of the UK's first hydrogen-fueled village, and the participants who would have taken part in the trial would be provided with a £2,500 incentive. Now, that would include payments of £1,500 upon conversion to a hydrogen boiler, $250 after completing feedback, and a final payment of $750 at the end of the program. Now, I don't know whether those payments were for the boiler or as an incentive, to take the boiler in, and the boiler was given to them free. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, if they knock on my door, I'm welcome. They can come in. I'll tell you, my boiler's 37 years old.
So we can always say Trevor and his old boiler.
I'd go for it.
Well, they weren't happy about it, and they managed to get it across to the government that they weren't going to go ahead with it. Go ahead, Sam.
And it'd be dead-handed for when you're having parties, blowing all your balloons up, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's hydrogen, isn't it? No.
I think in a way, probably was a little bit of a win for people not being forced to do things by the government. God, I hate that. But They're nowhere near. No, I don't think they were telling them that they have to. I heard an expert saying they have to dig down something like 150 meters to lay these pipes. That's some work.
It's dangerous stuff.
I'll be honest.
It is dangerous stuff.
Not with modern technology. Look at the rail tunnels down south. Tunneling's easy now, to be honest with you.
I know, but would you want them coming round your house and digging up all your gardens and all your stuff?
Well, not if it's 150 metres down. I'm not going to hear them at night, am I?
Nah,
we only need some rabbits on steroids, don't we? And away we go.
I don't think they've got any of those. I don't think.
Super rabbit.
Cadent said, "We know that this will be disappointing to the many residents who told us they wanted their community to play a pioneering role in decarbonising how we heat our homes in the UK." They also went on to say, "We are incredibly grateful to everyone in Whitby who has given us their time and attention over the last year as we've developed our proposal. We believe strongly in the role that hydrogen can play alongside other technologies and energy sources in reaching net zero. While Whitby won't be the location for the trial, the information we have gained over the last 12 months will still play an invaluable role in shaping how the UK heats its homes and businesses in the future." So that is a nice way of saying, we did our best. Go ahead, Stats.
No, it's a big fat lie because it won't decarbonise anything because 96% of the world's hydrogen comes from coal and gas. The end.
I thought it was 84%.
It might have gone down a little bit then. I'm going to argue over a few
I'm not going to argue it. It's still a major percentage.
The stats man is relenting on the accuracy of statistics.
No, he isn't. No, I would go on to say. All right, okay. I would go on to say I defer to stats. I defer to stats, and whatever stats says goes. So there. All right.
It's a right Brokeback Mountain loving down there, isn't it?
I reckon he brought it to Warrington Latchford and snap it up. They love it.
What? To have a byproduct is just water.
Yeah, because what they'll do is they've got rid of all the what they call the troughs and all that. Look, now they've gone, so they'll be after it. They'd snap that up.
Something different.
And then they'd vote Labour back in.
They'd be saying, "Right, you're going to give us $2.5 grand."
Oh, what? Yeah.
$2.5 grand to kick us off. And we get a free boiler. Yeah, we'll go for that.
Fit the boiler, mucker, fit the boiler.
The council will insist the payments go through their finances first to assist with the debt, Trevor.
Yes, and what they'll do is they'll do their due diligence, as Councillor Higgins said.
And all the hydrogen people like Cadent and British Gas and all the rest of them, it'll take them like sort of literally 3 years to get the money because they won't have any.
And I've heard a little rumour off the Chatty Ratty.
Chatty Ratty, go on.
Birchwood Park. The one that's offshore.
Oh, yeah.
220
Is Birchwood Park offshore? It's not in Warrington.
Well, it's actually in Warrington, but it was part offshore, yeah.
You said it was offshore.
Another
lovely beaches in Warrington, yeah.
Yeah, well, Warrington's full of beaches, but we're not into that.
Beaches or bitches?
No, beaches, and one of them's the MP.
Too much. Okay, I'm calling time on that. Here we go. All right, Stevie, get to the bar.
No.
Every week he says the same thing. No. Why? Why won't you go to the bar?
Well, I'm cutting down on my drinking, which isn't much to start with.
We're not.
And I'm just working on my figure at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Well,
a bit of
really,
work to do there.
That's a peach of a figure to get working on. I'm telling you. I'm talking about the shape.
8.
Say what, Gazelle?
It's a big figure 8.
Will
you stop talking at the same time?
Fit.
You shut up. Trevor, carry on.
It's just a power craze. Starling. He is Starling. We're going to call him Starling from now on.
Are we on the shout down, by the way, now?
Starkey,
yeah, shout down.
We'll call him.
Yeah, shut up.
Starling. God, it's full of birds, this place, isn't it? Chickens, ravens, starlings. So I've got a shout down this week. To all the hackers in the townships of South Africa who go around causing havoc with people's phones.
Oh, yes.
A little bit controversial. I know it might be controversial. It upsets a few of the snowflakes. But is that why they call it blackmail?
Yes.
Now, listen, lads, and it has been lads, because I rang him the other day and there's 3 of them dancing in the street. Listen, go out, lads, and get a job.
No, they
Put
can't.
something to the community instead of trying to blackmail me, you bunch of scum.
Yeah. Tell them.
There we go.
They tried to do it to me.
I tried to on an email, but they won't let me reply.
They tried to do it to me many years ago, and they said they were going to put out videos. They had examples of videos that would actually embarrass me, and I went, go ahead, make my day. Put them out. Let's go. They'll only enhance my reputation. Which is non-existent.
Thing, Jonathan, because my manhood is bigger than theirs.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? His voice all of a sudden went. They've hacked into your.
Confirm what you actually were transmitting there. What you said.
Go ahead. Say it again. Say it again, Gazelle.
Don't say it, Fleming. They've hacked me again.
Yeah, they've hacked you. They've hacked you on this show now.
I said they were threatening to put out the videos because they're jealous as hell because. Contrary to the rumour, my manhood was bigger than theirs. Oh, that's what's happened.
He did it again just as he said it. It's almost as if we've got one of those buttons on the podcast that sort of blots out certain things. Go ahead.
Listen, they're in here.
All right. Okay. That's all right. That's all right. Okay. Well, any shout downs, shout ups, shout anythings? Go ahead, Raven.
Well, there's a lot, really, I suppose, but I'm just going to have one.
Yeah, just one.
And I'm going to give a massive shout down to national and local governments and councils of all ilks for failing the people of this country.
Indeed.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. And Trevor's already had his. Statsman, go ahead. What's your shout out or shout down?
I'm going to do a shout out to the Taliban. Okay, it's
the
a
Taliban.
Because since we ran away with our tail between our legs because Joe Biden is an incompetent moron
and left all that equipment there,
the opium trade, which we failed to do in Helmand for all those years we were there. So the Taliban have done more to prevent countless drug overdoses and lives ruined by heroin than our weak and pathetic leadership ever could dream of. Makes you wonder why they didn't stop it themselves.
Yeah. Well,
for people to think about.
My shout down is to CWAC, which we're going to be responding to. Vanessa, we're not going to forget your communication. And we're going to actually be commenting on that in the weeks to come. So, anyway, there you go. All right. Okay, we're going to get on with the show, meaning we're getting on with the end. And we're going to be saying good night.
Now, can we sort this out for
good night?
Good night. We don't say good night. It's a bit effeminate.
Good night, sweetheart.
It's a bit too lovey-dovey at the end of a
good night, sweetheart.
A news show. We don't want all this.
Say good night, sweetheart.
Just say goodbye.
Just say goodbye, proper goodbye. Like men.
Yeah. Well, the type of men that we're dealing with today. Go ahead.
I want to be hearing this sort of thing.
I don't care. I don't care. Go ahead, Stats Man.
Part of this.
Say goodnight. Stats, say goodnight.
I didn't even hear you speak, mate. I'm going to say goodbye.
Hey, let's hear it from men, proper men. Trevor, go on, do the same.
See y'all.
See y'all.
Sounds like Vera Duckworth.
I tell you, well, thank God all that's over. All right, it's time to go.
Before we go.
Goodbye, listeners. Have a fabulous week. I hope you survive in this country, courtesy of our awful government and its horrendous policies. There's not much hope elsewhere. And just enjoy life.
Okay, Stats going.
I was going to say, does anyone know how to cancel bids on eBay? No, seriously, I've just bid £10 on a cowboy outfit and I'm 5 minutes away from owning the Conservative Party. Got problems.
Yeah. Very good. I like that.
Again,
I've just got one question. Serious, because I keep saying this and you'll keep, skating around the issue. When are we all going to do our
busy.
Routine?
You're the only gay in the village. Go on, you do it yourself.
Do this?
You're the only gay in the village. You do it.
Busy that day.
I can't do all of the different roles, can I? I have to have a bit of a quick change routine like nothing on earth.
Of course you can. You can do it. You can do it.
Get a bit of a routine going, work on the routine, and then.